Hello everybody, this is BeastCat100 and welcome back to some more Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Dual Destinies. In the previous episode, we had finished up the investigation day 1 on the murder of Alderman QB, and we met some very interesting characters, but the introductions are not going to stop there, as once we step through that door, we will be introduced to another interesting character. And it is now time for trial day 1. So, if you like what you see, leave a like down below. Comment if you have anything to say. Subscribe to me if you haven't already. Click that bell so you're notified of everything that I do when I do it. And share with your friends so they can join in on this adventure. Today is a great day for voice acting. Without further ado, April 18th, 9:15 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 3. You okay? You okay, Athena? You've been really antsy ever since we got here. I'm just excited. This is my first real court case, after all. Yeah, a real ball of excitement she is. I know just what she needs. Athena! Didn't you ever learn about indoor and outdoor voices? I'm just trying to show you the best way to relieve your pre-trial jitters. By scaring the daylights out of me? No, I find that shouting "I'm fine" in a loud voice really relieves stress. It's part of my Chords of Steel voice workout, and a must before every trial. You want me to shout? Here? That's right, here. I'll go first, and you try. I'm Apollo Justice, and I'm fine! That's the best shouting I could do in my current situation. Alright, I'm Athena Sykes. And I'm fine. Huh. I think that actually worked. I thought it might help. Always works for me. An old friend of mine from junior high and I say it all the time. I see. A proven remedy to calm the soul. I like it. Hey, how about we finish off with a race around the courthouse? The point is to relieve stress, not get totally exhausted. What's with all the racket, you two? Mr. Wright. Just a little voice workout. Hey, what's with the suit? Oh, this? I was thinking about getting my attorney's badge back, that's all. That's all? That's huge news, but why now? I have a feeling I'll be needed in the courtroom again sometime soon. But we can talk about that another time. No fair, inquiring minds want to know. But, wow. I'm so used to him in his usual laid-back clothes. That suit makes him look like $1 million. By the way, have you heard about the prosecutor assigned to this case? Yeah, he's serving time, but before that, he was a prosecutor. He also uses psychology. That's right. I've heard the rumors about how he was back before his conviction. By using the power of suggestion, he could make even the most stalwart defendants confess. Psychology in the courtroom. Been hearing a lot about that lately. So he must be a pretty scary guy considering he's a prison inmate and all. So they say. They also say he'll cut you down if you talk too much. I knew it was gonna be bad news. It's probably just hyperbole. Or at least I hope for your sake. Wait, so is it true or not? Let's just say you should be concise and choose your words carefully. If you'd like to keep that head of yours attached to the rest of your body, that is. Gotta turn down my Chords of Steel too. So, are you all ready? It might be a good idea to check the court record again before stepping into the ring. Right, Mr. Wright, but I'm fine. I'll be watching from the gallery. Good luck. Thanks. Okay, let's do this. The odds of pulling this one off are ridiculously low, but that's nothing new. Believe in our client, seek the truth, that's all we can do. Hang in there, Matsema. Here comes justice! April 18th, 9:30 a.m. District Court Courtroom Number 4. Day 1. Court is now in session. All rise! I forgot. Court is now in session for the trial of Damien Tenma. Pilot Justice, defense team leader, is ready, Your Honor. And I know that big booming voice anywhere. Shipper as ever, hey, Mr. Justice. But who was the young lady next to you? I'm Athena Sykes, Mr. Justice's junior partner and fresh out of law school. Well now, Philippines too, huh? Excellent! Makes an old man feel young again. Now for the prosecution. It appears the prosecution is not ready yet. Never fear, for I shall explain. It's just a minor procedural complication, Your Honor. The prosecutor for this case is being escorted from prison as we speak. Prison? Oh yes, of course. I almost forgotten that he's currently serving time.
Yup, Prosecutor Blackwell's an inmate. But even a convicted murderer still got a job to do and duties to perform.
And here is objectively the best prosecutor, the best prosecutor, I think, out of any of them. Now, okay, Edgeworth is fine, but, like, once Edgeworth, I can't say much, but, no. Aside from him, Blackwell is probably one of the best prosecutors, and I've been waiting for this for so long. Who's that with his back back to us over there? That's him, I'm sure of it. Prosecutor Blackwell. Is the prosecution ready? Enough jabbering. Get on with it already. Of course, forgive me. Why are all the people related to this case so scary? Very well, Prosecutor Blackwell. Your opening statement, if you please. What's the matter? Must we continue to fritter away time like this? It is alright. It is all right there in the indictment. An opening statement would be pointless. Pointless? Well, looks like the cat, or in this case the prosecutor, is the judge's tongue. But we need an opening statement as an overview of the case in hand. Well then, your baldness, if so very important, why don't you do the honors? Who, me? There's a term for people who whine and fuss about how they need silly, useless things, and then decide they no longer want them once it's theirs. A selfish old fool. Huh? Wait, was that the prosecution's opening statement? Huh. Oh, daughters such as you are a plague on the young. I pity your poor grandchildren. Or is it great-grandchildren? All these years, I thought the opening statement was the prosecutor's job. I suppose I could give it a try. Might be a nice change of pace. What? He actually fell for that? That must have been the power of suggestion Mr. Wright was talking about. The opening statement, huh? Let's see here. The victim was one Rex Hubie, Alderman of Ninetails Vale. And the defendant, Damien Tenma, Mayor of Tenma Town, is accused of his murder. And why, for tell, was the mayor arrested? His prints were on the murder weapon. Plus, he had a motive, the elimination of the biggest roadblock to the municipal merger. The caretaker and the secretary, other potential suspects, both have alibis. And his daughter, who was also in the vicinity at the time of the incident, has no motive. So, in a nutshell, I'd have to say the charges against the defendant are incontrovertible. Of all your baldness, your years of experience shine bright like your head. Flattery will get you everywhere. He's playing Simon Says with the judge. Ha! That's funny. That is a funny statement. Moving right along now, let's hear from our first witness for today, Detective Fulbright. Fuck you, Judge. Witness, please state your name and occupation. I'm the detective assigned to this case, Bobby Fulbright. Oh, and I'll also be keeping tabs on old Blackwell here. I also heard you would provide protection if it ever came to that. It would seem that I have been sorely underestimated. Wait, who's protecting who from what? Still, I truly believe anyone can turn their life around, even old Blackwell here. Fulbright, save your platitudes for funerals. Get on with your statement. That's the spirit. Justice must be swift and true. I see it in your eyes. There is hope for your rehabilitation and return to society. I will never give up on you. Prosecutor Blackwell doesn't seem to intimidate Detective Fulbright. Well, you know what they say, ignorance is bliss. Oh, so that's why Detective Fulbright was assigned to Blackwell. He's so oblivious. Now, let's have your first statement, Detective Fulbright. You got it, but first, I'd like to say that the defense that justice will ultimately prevail. Yeah. Let's get on to the cross-examination already. Should have grabbed more water. About the murder. Alderman Cuby was murdered with a spear that had been on the wall. The fingerprints of the defendant, Damien Tenma, were found on the murder weapon. At the time, Alderman Cuby was asleep from a drug he unwittingly ingested. Mayor Tenma attacked his helpless victim, impaling him like a human shish kebab. But the sudden pain jolted the victim awake, and he grabbed the statue and struck back. Alderman Cuby had been slipped some kind of sleep-inducing drug. That's right. The accused was scared because the alderman was a former pro wrestler. So he slipped him a drug to make sure he'd be out cold and defenseless. Here's the autopsy report to prove it. Death, stabbed with a spear, estimated time of death around 3:20. Victim had been in a drug-induced slumber. The victim managed to attack his attacker despite being impaled by a spear. That sounded almost superhuman. Is it even possible? Well, he was a former pro wrestler after all. That spear was probably nothing more than a mosquito bite to him. Objection! Not so fast. Don't try to brush it off all by saying the alderman had been a pro wrestler. Do you really expect us to believe that he could fight back after being skewered by a spear? Never heard of the incredible feats of which man is capable of in a pinch, have you? Like the samurai of yore, wrestlers can battle through intense pain. It sharpens their senses. I used to talk about it with a former wrestler I met in the clink. I don't know. It still sounds a little far-fetched. Does it now? Then perhaps we should test the theory on you with the edge of my blade. I didn't sign up for this. And so your life is spared for now. Please let those shackles be made out of titanium. I don't want to die. My investigations are as thorough as they are foolproof, or my name isn't Fulbright. I vow to resign immediately if I ever make a false arrest. The accused's fingerprints are on the weapon, and he's the one without an alibi. Quite decisive evidence, wouldn't you agree, your baldness? Defendant just sounded guiltier by the minute. Yes, the judge leaning towards a guilty verdict, and the trial's just barely begun. What's more, a curious rumor about the accused is making the rounds. They say he seeks the merger for the purpose of freeing Tematara from his imprisonment. Truth be told, I can think of no real reason to show interest in that backwards burg. Perhaps he's a complete nutter and really does seek to release an imaginary demon. Either way, he is raving mad and more than capable of murdering the alderman. The mayor was a strange one, alright. I went to a blood drive instead of donating. He tried to make a withdrawal. Order! There wouldn't be no gossiping in my court! Your baldness. Please take a gander at those charms plastered across his cranium. I hear they're meant to keep him safe from possession by the demon Temataro. And then again. Perhaps he's already under the demon's spell. Behold, the lunatic appears poised to lunge at you at any moment. The rumors and quirks of Mayor Tenma have no relevance to this case. Besides, those charms are on his head. They're just a fashion statement, I think. Come to think of it, such things don't seem relevant to the case, do they? Prosecution will refrain from dragging our client's reputation through the mud. Oh, what a dreadfully fearsome lass we have here. Thanks for the lifeline, Athena. Careful, Apollo. He has the judge dancing in the palm of his hand. The power of suggestion is one of the more powerful tools in Simon Blackwell's arsenal. He's trying to manipulate everyone's impressions to suit his objectives. This guy really is bad news. In any case, it seems the victim did manage to defend himself despite being impaled. What sort of weapon did he use against his attacker? Excuse me? None other than this statue right here. It appears to be a statue of two strange creatures locked in battle. Two yokai, to be exact. That was my original plan, was to give him the snake voice, and then I just completely fucked it up, so... I'll change that. Two yokai, to be exact. On one side is the nine-tailed fox, and the other is Temataro. Quite interesting if you think about it. It's as though this very case were rendered an art. Okay. Mayor's blood was found on it, but no prints could be lifted. Mr. Justice, you may proceed with the cross-examination. Alderman QB was murdered with a spear that had been on the wall. Yada yada yada. Just in case. Let me take a look at something real quick. Specifically the crime scene photo. No prints can be lifted, but there were no gloves. Alright. Okay. Let me go with that. Fingerprints were found on the murder weapon. He grabbed a statue and struck back. But how do you know?
Objection!
Did the alderman really strike the mayor? What? Are you questioning my sense of justice? Your so-called justice needs to find itself a pair of legs to stand on. Claim the alderman struck back after the mayor put a spear through him. But the statue he supposedly used to defend himself creates a major hole in your theory. It would appear that the defense has a counter-argument. Very well, let's hear what the defense thinks is odd about the detective statue. And no fingerprints. There are no fingerprints on this supposedly crucial piece of evidence. And if you look at the crime scene photo, you'll notice that the alderman isn't wearing gloves. Yes, I believe he's quite gloveless indeed. If he touched the statue with his bare hands, he should have left some fingerprints. This is Detective Fulbright. You did take that into account during your investigation, didn't you? Ugh! This can't be happening. Did I arrest the wrong man? You did it, Apollo? You knocked Detective Fulbright off his high horse. Well, it's just one point in our favor. Who do you suppose clubbed the mayor if it wasn't the alderman? Well, if it wasn't the alderman, I mean someone else must have clubbed the mayor. You mean there was a third party in the Fox chamber? Exactly, and this could be the big break we've been looking for. There does seem to be a hole in the prosecution's argument. Prosecutor Blackwell, would you care to respond to the defensive assertion? Oh, you cut off the music. Fuck you, Blackwell. Huh. Least you could do is look at me while being dismissive. Your mind is as dull as an unhoned blade, Justice Dono. Justice Dono? He's been watching too many samurai flicks. And it will take far more than that to cut down Simon Blackwell. A whelp such as you has no hope against my superior swordsmanship. This is a trial, not a sword fight, Prosecutor Blackwell. There's a perfectly good explanation for the lack of prints on the statue. You might recall that blood-stained cloth found at the scene of the crime. Well, it just so happens the blood was the mayor's. So, what are you getting at? Hone your mind, boy. Why was there blood on that cloth? Solve that riddle and you shall see that the hole you thought you found was but an illusion. Let's see. How was that cloth used? Was it used to wrap the statue? Maybe the alderman would wrap the statue with the cloth. In short, he wasn't touching the statue directly when he used it to strike back at the mayor. Precisely. Bully for you, boy. No, it was nothing. Apollo, don't let him start manipulating you too. You just closed the hole for the prosecution. I did? I did. Right. That statue was wrapped in cloth. That a statue wrapped in cloth would leave no fingerprints as plain as day. But this also proves there are no holes in the theory of our alderman striking back. Oops. I still call bullshit because then why is there blood on the statue? Now, do you see how dull your mind is? I'll make sure to sharpen it next time. Particularly frightening inmate once told me that. He always handily honed his blades before he went to work, like the samurai of yore. Samurai? Sounds more like a homicidal maniac to me. Actually, he was working in the prison kitchen at the time. Wait, so the inmate was a murdering samurai prison chef? No, Apollo. It seemed the victim and his killer were the only ones after all. Just gotta attach to that hole. Now what? Apollo, I just thought of something. If they didn't find anyone's fingerprints on the statue, who's to say that someone other than the alderman didn't hit the mayor with it? Why didn't I think of that? Anyone could have not left fingerprints on it. Then who, pray tell, struck the mayor with the statue? Please, illuminate us with your wisdom, young lady. There's only one answer. The real killer. Prove the existence of this real killer, then. What evidence have you? I won't give you evidence, alright. Athena, are you sure about this? To borrow your words, Apollo, I'm fine. Take a look at this. Black feathers and tracks allegedly from a yokai were found at the scene. I believe they're from the third party who struck the mayor with that statue. It's offensively suggesting some sort of monster killed that alderman. That's exactly what I'm suggesting.
Objection!
No, Athena, you just lost what little credibility we had left. Sorry. Guess I got carried away. Mr. Justice, no time to deal with objections between members of the defense. Sorry, Your Honor. It's just that this kid's still, well, a kid. Ouch. You meanie. I'm reporting this to Mr. Wright. So this court Is this court to believe the feathers and the tracks are from a yokai, as you put? No, Your Honor. I believe they're a fabrication. The real killer wants us to believe some sort of monster murdered the alderman. Interesting. And what do you suppose the killer would do that? Why indeed. Mr. Justice, you seem as new as the secret as your partner is. Ouch. This I'm not reporting to Mr. Wright. Hoy, Fulbright. Explain to his baldness what those brats are missing. You know, the who and why behind the feathers and tracks. What? You mean you can explain all that? Our investigative prowess is without equal. I'm starting to think I chose the wrong profession. Very well, let's hear about the so-called yokai feathers and tracks. Fuck. One moment, sorry. Fuck. Choked on water. Someone's gotta have a drink. Gonna have to get some more water after this episode, Jesus. Okay. Nope, I still feel the cough coming out. Okay. Now that I'm done immediately dying. Feathers and tracks. He's tired. Sorry. The entire case centers on one man's attempts to crush the opposition to the municipal merger. Mayor Tedma panicked when the amazing Ninetales helped embolden the protesters, so he stoked the villagers' fears by fabricating a monster. Strange feathers and tracks he planted made it look like the yokai was the killer. His feathers and tracks stoked the villagers' fears. Absolutely, he knew exactly how to prey on their superstitious minds. His feathers only give weight to the idea that the alderman was slain by a demon. Excuse me? The accursed demon is Temataro, that is. Who? Temataro, the legendary demon locked away in the villager's forbidden chamber. From a young age, the villagers are taught to fear the great black feather demon, and just they were blinded to other more plausible explanations. Hold on for a sec. Before we start letting our imaginations run wild, isn't there someone else that could be considered a suspect? Mr. Justice, please explain yourself. On the day of the incident, there was a special event held at QB Manor, and part of this event, there was someone dressed in the likeness of Temataro. Obviously, this person is a much more likely suspect than any legendary demon.
Objection!
Dullard, you were playing right into the killer's mind games. What? Listen here. The feathers and tracks were merely red herrings. The villagers believe the murder to be the work of the real Temataro. However, the police believe that the person in Temataro's suit is the killer. Ugh! The defendant sought to sow this confusion in order to deflect the blame away from himself. However, he was knocked unconscious by the alderman, and thus our mentally deficient mayor was caught red-handed at the scene of the crime. Objection! Do you honestly believe that Mayor Tedma would do something so stupid? Objection. The evidence speaks for itself. Fulbright. Right. It was the mayor's last-ditch effort to stop the opposition before things got crazy. The Amazing Ninetales was fueling both the yokai craze and the anti-merger movement. Plus, he's one of the better-known masked wrestlers and the hometown favorite. That's why the mayor panicked and set out on the path of injustice. But do the people of Ninetales Vale really believe a yokai is beyond the crime? Yokai sightings are an everyday event there, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did. Must say, a crime like that preys upon the innocent and impressionable minds. Just so, a particularly silver-tongued inmate once had the following words for me. The innocence of the heart. The innocents of heart are the easiest prey. You don't say. Was this inmate a con artist? No. He was framed for the murder of his beloved. I actually felt sorry for the poor chap. Wait, so he wasn't the predator, but rather the prey? Yes, well... Now then, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination. Start case, since it's on 1 minute. Okay. Nine Tails. The feathers were on top of the blood, which means that it could have only been done after the murder. But if he was knocked unconscious, he couldn't have planted those feathers. Right? Makes sense to me.
Objection!
No. Nope. Nope. I might be on the right track, but I might have to press a little bit. I'm not getting a I'm not getting a strike this early. Not happening. Let me press. But it doesn't add up. If what you say is true, why top it off at the murder? What do you mean? You claim that our client planted the yokai evidence to stoke the villagers' fears. If so, then why not stop there? Why murder Alderman QB? Excellent points! It is, isn't it? So, Your Honor agrees there was no reason for the murder, correct? Objection. Perhaps the killing was a spur of the moment. You're saying it wasn't premeditated? From the outset, I had no intention of paying heed to any of your babble. However, the fact is, the mayor made a startling discovery. A startling discovery? Why don't I like the sound of that? Alderman QB's secret identity. Apollo? I think Prosecutor Blackwell has figured out the Alderman's secret identity. But even if he has, why would it be a motive for the mayor to commit murder? This is not good. This patch of fur was discovered at the crime scene. It's from the mask worn by the amazing Ninetales. Therefore, we can conclude that this mask was at the crime scene. Oh my, but why would it have been there? The victim was a former pro wrestler and a member of the anti-merger movement. Need I say more? Well, could it really be? Huh, your baldness has had an epiphany, I see. Our victim, Rex Hubie, was the amazing Ninetales, and the mayor's discovery of such was his motive for murder. No! Order! Order! A shocking development! A motive clearer than crystal clear! What do we do now, Apollo? I didn't think they tied the Alderman's secret identity to the mayor's motive for murder. At last, we've reached a real point. Why did the Alderman have to forge a secret identity? Does it not pique your interest, your baldness? I admit it does. It is odd that he had to create this other persona, just to secretly participate in the anti-merger movement. Very astute of you, your baldness. Right, now take a look at this. You son of a bitch! If you value your dearest life, you will merge Ninetales Vale with Tematown. The Smackmail letter was found in Alderman QB's pocket. What? At present, the Alderman's wife is in the hospital, and that letter is clear evidence the mayor was blackmailing him, threatening her life. Wait, didn't the blackmail letter sent to Mayor Tema go missing? Right after the Alderman's murder? You think maybe the killer took the letter from the mayor after the murder? And planted it into the Alderman's pocket? It's possible, but we don't have any proof that that's what happened. Talk about being up the creek without a paddle. Mayor Tema would have made a clean getaway if he just left after planting the yokai things. But he was knocked out cold by a sudden decision to kill the amazing Ninetales. So it was the amazing Ninetales counterattack that brought the entire crime to light. Wait a sec. The Red's claiming that the mayor killed Alderman after planting the yokai evidence, and that the mayor was knocked out cold immediately after that? Detective Fulbright, please enter your previous statement to your testimony. There we go. Right idea, wrong statement. Mayor Tema killed the sleeping alderman after planting the feathers in tracks. No, he didn't. Take that! Oops. Whatever. Detective Fulbright, your sense of justice is anything but fair. What's this? You dare question my justice again? Yes, and I'm going to prove it to you. Take a look at this photo. This is the crime scene photo. Just what does this prove? It proves when the feathers and tracks were planted. But I already told you, they were planted before the murder. The defendant planted the yokai evidence and was knocked out cold, killing his victim. But that would be impossible. If you look right here, it's clear when the feathers and tracks were left at the scene. Take that! Aren't you just pointed to the yokai feathers and tracks, Mr. Justice? Yes, see how the feathers are on top of the blood, and the tracks were made in blood? In other words, the yokai evidence could have only resulted after the murder. Then the mayor must have planted the evidence after killing the alderman. But you said it yourself. The mayor had been knocked unconscious thereafter. There would have been no time for him to plant any evidence at all. Therefore, there must have been someone else besides the mayor and the alderman at the crime scene. Ugh! There must be some mistake. Order! Order! Well, where's your evidence? You can't possibly have any, can you? Evidence? Oh, I have evidence. In fact, I have eyewitness testimony for you. You do? But how? Was my vaunted sense of justice really just half-baked? He's taking this really hard. Mr. Justice! What is the testimony regarding a third party that you claim to have? I have it right here, Your Honor. It's sworn testimony of Mr. Tema's daughter. The witness, Suzie Tema, saw a yokai in the hallway after stumbling upon the scene. It was the demon Temataro. He was the source of those feathers and tracks. Wait. You just backpedaled on yourself, Apollo. Will somebody please say something? Defense will explain to the court exactly what he means. You dare mock this court and justice itself. You're unfit to bear your name, boy. Your baldness, and appears our defense attorney here is delirious from exhaustion. Apollo, think of something quick before you're held in contempt of court. What do you think I'm trying to do? Before you decide whether I should step down, please, just hear me out. Very well, Mr. Justice, but I'm all ears, but you had better explain yourself well. Oh boy. What's this yokai you were talking about? It's on this statement here. Jinxie Tenma asserts that she saw Temataro after she discovered the crime scene and called the police. She came around the corner in the hall. It was around here. She saw Temataro fleeing towards the foyer. The defense asserts that whoever was impersonating this monster is the one who left those feather tracks behind, intentionally or otherwise. What? How incredibly unjust! Why haven't I heard about this before? That just proves there was someone else. So the mayor isn't the killer? Is it all a setup? The prosecutor is a convicted felon after all. Apollo, the momentum has shifted in our favor. Good, now let's keep it that way.
Objection.
Nope, never mind. Objection. Little do you realize. I thought... Oops. I just bumped the mic. Cool. As though you were in the midst of a fray. Your sword is broken. My sword? I didn't know I had one to break. Are you implying that there's a problem with my claim? Consider this. If that yokai impersonator had indeed fled towards the foyer, that fool and that fop would have seen him. Fool and fop? Oh, you mean Filch and LaBelle. Now that you mention it, both Phineas Filch and Florent LaBelle were in the foyer at the time, but they haven't stated if they saw a yokai, have they? Did you ever consider that yokai was but a figment of the scared little girl's imagination? Why didn't those two see Temataro impersonator pass by? Why don't we ask them ourselves? I was just about to say that myself. No, really, I was. Defense would like to call Mr. Phineas Filch, caretaker of QB Manor, to the stand. I know he must have seen something. I suppose we can't ignore the fact that the little girl believes she saw a monster. I trust you have no objections to Mr. Justice's request, Prosecutor Blackwell. I understand that Mr. Filch is enjoying a nap out in the lobby. I knew that Tanuki was a rare find, but when we captured him, I didn't think he'd end up a witness. Deal with him as you will. Did he just say captured? No, wait, I don't want to know. Very well then, bailiff, please go wake Mr. Filch and escort him to the witness stand. Well, the witness stand is... Nope, not in this episode. Fuck. Jesus. I need a little break. I need to get water. That's what happens when you go head first back into a series. Anyway, we're getting somewhere. We're right in the middle of the court session right now. So in the next episode, we will continue and interrogate Mr. Phineas Filch. Thank you guys for watching, and see you guys later.